Hello and welcome to Soothe Yourself. Today I have the joy to converse with a good member of my coach community and a very important part of my support system. Ray D. Willis is a retired Master Sergeant of the U.S. Air Force, a trainer, a life coach, transformation coach, goal settings, public speaker. We'll be talking together about the importance of believing in ourselves, following our dreams. So thank you for being here, Ray.
Thank you. I'm glad to be on the podcast with you today, Francisco.
You know, Ray, I did mention that you were and you are a good part of the support system because I guess it was about February or March 2025, I found myself needing that mindset shift of starting to believe in myself a little more and pursue something out of my comfort zone that I always wanted to do. So, for you all listening, the reason you're listening to a podcast with me as a host is because people like Ray and Ray himself have been encouraging me to do that. And it is very important to have encouragement, support, but really at the foundation of it all is believing in ourselves. Can you tell me more about your experience with that and what led you to become a coach in this specific field?
Life is always changing and moving on. And I can tell you from a very young age, I was always at the forefront of trying to lead people and to encourage people to do what they needed to do to reach their dreams, to reach their goals. Very, very young, I started doing that. And that was because I had a father who was showing me the way. I had a father, a stepfather, who really picked up the ball and taught me to be the person that I really needed to be. So that started very young for me, and it followed through in many, many different ways. But really hit an epitaph, if you will, when I joined the Air Force and later became a first sergeant. First sergeants are responsible for all of the enlisted people in the squadron and their families. So there were a lot of people to deal with and a lot of people to work with and try to encourage. So some of the young people we had in the squadron obviously had not had that kind of encouragement. And so as a first sergeant, you have to be able to be there to pick them up and to try to encourage them and to move them along and help them reach their goals. So that probably was where my really deep coaching came into play. And then from there, I was a Family Support Center superintendent for McConnell Air Force Base. And so I had everybody on base to encourage and to work with. So it just became natural for me to do that. And it has been through the rest of my careers to try to help build people up and to show them they can be better than they are today. They just need to take a look at it and figure out where they really want to go. That really brings me into my current coaching and that of dream building. Do you know how many people in the world today really don't know what they want to do when they wake up every morning?
Yes, too
They
many.
wake up every morning to see what happens, not to follow their dreams because they don't really have any. So my coaching right now is to help people to figure out what their vision of life is. What would they really love to be and do and have? And then from there, what can you do today to move closer to that? What can you do in the next 5 minutes to move closer to that? And it can be very simple. It can be very simple things. So individually, we try to figure out what our vision is. And it's really odd that so many people don't really believe they can have a vision. Sometimes you have to start from scratch, or you really do, because it's like, I don't know. I just know this is not it. And
Mhm.
so I try to help them figure out what that vision is. And of course, visions change.
Yeah.
You can have a vision and then decide all of a sudden that that's not really where I want to be. That's where I thought I wanted to be, but it's not really what makes me feel involved and engaged and happy. So we try to help them figure out where that is and put them in that place so they can fulfill their life dreams.
Wonderful. It's so important to have a figure in your life that presents you that opportunity. And
Mm-hmm.
like you just described to us, the blessing of having a father who did that for you. it kind of gave you already a mindset growing up of having that freedom to say, I could pursue a life I love and encourage others to do that. Sometimes we're not as blessed or lucky to have a person like that in our direct, immediate entourage, in our family members or even friends sometimes. We love them dearly, but some friends might lead us away from what we really want to do. And same things for some family member support system that do not quite understand that there is that possibility. Because, like you said, so many people don't realize that indeed that is a possibility. What if God puts us on this earth to pursue that? You know, we could admit that He has a plan for us, yes, but what if the plan for us is that free will to use it to do something that can bring us joy? So I'm really grateful that you are one of those people who follow that and put it into action for others as well. So that's really admirable. And as a public speaker, you probably encourage people in that too. Can you tell me a little more about that aspect of your life?
Well, I joined Toastmasters about 10 years ago, and I'd already been a college instructor. I'd already worked in the college and taught classes and done all those kind of things. In the Air Force, I briefed three-star generals. So public speaking wasn't really a fear for me, but helping other people was where I really joined. And it's really funny because when I joined Toastmasters, the person who brought me in Toastmasters said, Ray, I know you don't need this, but other people do. And they need you to encourage them. So you need to join. And I went, all right, all right.
Yes,
And I
sir.
was in it for 10 years. When I stopped Toastmasters about a year ago to pursue more of the coaching, I had completed 20 of the pathways. I have 4 distinguished Toastmaster awards, and
Wow.
less than 1% of the Toastmasters worldwide have one.
Wow. Impressive.
I made 4 of those in 10 years because I was a member of 10 clubs at one time.
Oh, wow.
So I did a lot of public speaking. I did a lot of encouraging other people and trying to help them find their niche in public speaking and basically to help them at work. It's really a devastating thing, I think, when you go to something like an all-call meeting and the head boss of your whole group stands up and can't make himself understood. Now you know that he's smart, you know that he's educated, you know he's got a lot going on, but he can't hold a conversation. I mean, it really is discouraging to go to some of those meetings. So I try to help the people be better than that
Mm-hmm.
and to work on their public speaking and figure out, how to do it and how to do it successfully. And I think I've encouraged a lot of people to do that effort. It also gets into a lot of mentoring and that type of thing. I was the district director for the state of Oklahoma for Toastmasters. So I had, 1,000 people, and I think we had 60 clubs at one time within the state. And
Wonderful.
I was in charge of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
In charge of means different things to different people. To me, it means I was responsible to help the people in that group. Not that I was over them, I was the head encourager.
Beautifully put. As a non-Native American speaker, I mean Italian American, I know the struggle, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful to you and our support system that you're part of, because I would have never thought in my life that I would start a podcast in a foreign language, and trying to help others when I'm still trying to figure out how to help myself. I never thought, I did go to school, I got several degrees myself, but I never thought about it doesn't really matter your education level if you're not used to converse and have, the ability to speak in front of people. Having the ability to communicate is key. We don't live in an island. We don't live by ourselves. We need to always interact with others. And it's important to learn how to do it. So it's wonderful to have people like you who can lead us into doing that. I'm curious if there is something you can share with us about a specific method or framework or approach that you have specifically in your coaching to help people figure out how to pursue a better life that they love, but also combined with the self-esteem and the self-confidence of communication, right? Because if you want to pursue your life, you also need to, again, interact with others. So how did you combine, or can you combine the two things? Part A of the question, and part B, do you have an approach or framework that you use?
Well, I guess the first thing I would say is many people do not realize that the mind actually controls the body. And the words you say to yourself control the mind. That's self-talk. The talk that you hear from people around you, I'm not good enough. You can never do that. And you listen to it. And it's discouraging for one, but after you hear it so many times, you take on that trait. So I'm not good in math turns out that you're really not good in math because you have no expectation to be good in math. Everybody's already told you you're bad at it, so why worry? Why work on it? The same thing is true with your body and with health. It has been proven that the mind actually can control and heal the body. But it's done through thought, and it's done through those thoughts that we often say to ourselves. Many people I know, including myself at some points in my life, I would tell you that if I talked to my friends the way I talk to myself, I wouldn't have any friends.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm on that club too.
So that's one of the things to get in check, and then to start that positive self-talk, because I can do this. I know I can. And if I don't know how, I know some people that can help me. So that's one of the main things to look at. And then it goes back to what I talked about earlier about the vision. If you have a vision of something that really is what you want in life, the thing that's going to make you happy, the thing that makes you wake up early before the alarm goes off every morning, just so you can do it, that is what you're looking for. You may not even know what it is right now. So my job as a coach is to help you figure out what it is, and then to start building that self-talk to say, I can do that. I can do that. And I can start by doing this step. And the other part of that probably is, and it really depends on the person that you're coaching and what they need. Some people just need a cuddling. They really do. You're good. I know you can handle it. It's great. Other people need somebody that's an accountability partner. Bubba, you said you were going to do this last week. Didn't happen. What got in the way? How can I help you make that happen? So what was the issue that you had that this couldn't be done? And can I help you figure out a way to fix that? Can I help you figure out a way to get beyond that? So those things really play heavily in trying to coach somebody. And sometimes you have to find that one thing that you can see when you talk about it that makes your eyes light up, puts a smile on their face.
Yes.
And that is what makes them happy. Use that to say, if that's what you want, this is what you need to do to get there. These are the steps you have to take to put that smile on your face when you wake up every morning. And I know that it can happen. I know that it can happen because I've had it happen to me. At one time I worked for the college. I didn't want to sleep because I wanted to be there. I wanted to be helping the students doing those things. And it was really funny because I had one of those sessions with my boss and called in, all the people that work for me. So we're going to write a new job description, right? Okay, fine. And she said, this is what I want you to do. And my assistant stepped up. She said, he doesn't do that. I do. He signs it. I write it. And they said, we're going to make these changes in the classroom. My lead instructor stood up and said, he doesn't do those. I do. Finally came down to, well, Ray, what do you do? So I keep it all together. I keep it all together. I keep them working together. And then I asked them what they wanted. You know what they really wanted? I was a director of technical computer education at the college. They wanted me to be involved in every meeting that happened in Wichita, Kansas, that had anything to do with education and or the big businesses there, mainly the aircraft business. They wanted me to be known by face and by voice in all of those places. So when our students graduated the program and they asked me for some words to put on their employment and their resumes and that kind of stuff. The people that were hiring them would know that I sent them what they want. So I was involved in all those meetings all over town and spent a large part of my time doing that. And the last thing they wanted was me to be standing in the hallways at every break. So the students could come and ask me questions, they could get counseling, they could see my face and know that I was there for them. That's what they wanted. It's what they got.
Sometimes we don't realize the value that our presence in a field, in a setting, in a situation really has, the impact that we have on others. And
Mhm.
when somebody realized that for us and then puts you into that position, right? Because your supervisor knew that that was part of your responsibility because you had that in you. And
Mhm.
so you were this, and you are still. And I think really anybody who has met you that I know has this impression of you can go to him, he will know. He will know what to tell you, what you need to hear, the go-to person. And it's we don't realize the importance of having somebody like that in our lives. And people have this understanding that coaching, you know, can be like therapy. No, it's more of that conversational setting with someone who really cares about seeing you reach your fullest potential and leads you to it, in ways that you find your own resources, and you are excellent in that. So I can see why you were asked about that. And also to go back to your point about the bad self-talk.
Mhm.
I am first in line. I've done it all my life. And having that edge of ability to converse and communicate well with others has to start in front of the mirror, in my opinion, right? Because if we don't talk to ourselves in an encouraging way, or even in a proper way, like you said,
Mhm.
you wouldn't talk this way to your friends, otherwise you wouldn't have any. Well, so why do we do that in front of the mirror? So having the ability to converse with someone like you who has both aspects of that, helping you, encouraging you, but also giving you that extra edge of learning how to communicate. Because in front of
Mhm.
the mirror, we have to be able to say things that build up to our pursuit of our dream life. We can't put our own obstacles in front of us and then say, oh, well, I can't do that. Life is life. Well, no, we have the chance, to change a few things. So I would love for people to be able to get in touch with you, because we don't realize sometimes what we need the most until we have it right there in front of us. And I'm a firm believer that dreaming a life that you love, it's not a disrespect toward life or yourself. On the contrary, some people are very faith-filled, strong believers. If you say, God, I really would love to have a life like this, it's not a sin, right?
Mhm.
Because if he gave you that desire, you have that in you, those capabilities, in a drive to do something, it might also come from somebody higher than you. It must telling you, hey, this might be something I want you to do. So I want to encourage people who are listening to look in the mirror and think about these things. And I would like to ask you if you have any suggestion, recommendation for those out there, like myself used to be, I'm still in the process of being, who are struggling with that mindset shift. I want to believe in myself. I want to pursue that. How can they get started?
Well, first off, I would tell you this. A lot of people have a belief, a false belief, that for them to get something, somebody else has to give it up. So, in order for me to get the money that I want, to get the job that I want, to get anything that I want, somebody else has to suffer. That's not true. We live in the most abundant world you can even imagine. There is enough for all of us to be happy and healthy and go on. Just amaze us even thinking about it. But it's all here. It's abundant. It's all around us. Nobody has to suffer for us to get better. And thinking in that way really it kills all of the challenges in your life. Thinking that for me to get what I want, somebody else has to suffer. And they worry about that, and they really dwell on it, and it just kind of eats them up inside. It's not true. We are spirits in a human body right now, and that's the life that we live. The whole world, anybody you ask, anyone, wants something more than they currently have. That's innate to us as people, any kinds of people. I mean, you go anywhere in the world, they want something better than what they currently have. What they don't know is how to get it most of the time. And they don't really, because of that belief, they don't really think they deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, you do deserve it. You
Yes.
do. It's out there. And there are ways for you to see that. There are ways I can help you understand. And there are a lot of different ways to look at life. But the biggest thing that most people can't pick up and run with is it's okay for me to want more. It's all right. It's natural. It's healthy for me to want more. And to get it, I have to do something. I have to think differently. I have to act differently. I have to be different. Now, most people think I need to get this and have a certification or have a degree or have something else, and then I can be that. I'm going to tell you it's backwards. You start out being the what you want, and then you wind up getting it, and then you have it. But you can't stay in the mindset of today and get better. The present is what it is, and it's not going to get better. If you want better in the future, you have to think differently. You have to act differently. You have to be different to get that improvement. But you get it by thinking about it and planning towards it. For example, if my goal for life and to make me really, really happy was to have a brand new job that I really loved and adored, and I want that within the next year, I have to start thinking like that now so that I'm prepared to answer the questions in the proper way to get me there. Because as things come up in your life, you usually have at least two choices. I'm going to do it or not do it.
Yes.
Maybe you have a third choice. I'm not going to decide. And that in itself is a decision.
Mm-hmm.
But the presence is the only place you can make a decision. So you have to think about how you want to be in the future and make a decision based on that, not based on what's happening today. But if I was in that job already and I had this question, how would I answer it? Then you can start working in that direction. Then you're already acting like you have it, and it's going to come to you naturally. It's going to come to you because you act like it. So, first off, you need to find the dream, figure out what it is. And I'm going to tell you that a vision is not something you can do. In order for it to be a vision, it has to be something that requires a higher power. You couldn't do it yourself, because if you could do it yourself, you would have already done it, right? So it requires a higher power. Some people call that God, some people call it the universe, some people call it different things, a higher power, whatever it is, but you need something that's above you that will help you achieve it. Now, you can call it whatever you want to. It doesn't matter to me. I call it God. And I think about the spirit that says, Ray, you can have it if you really want it. Here's how you go for it. And that's what I can help people understand. And once they understand that they're not stuck in the present forever. You know, some people live to be 99 years old, and some of them live to be the same thing 99 times. They're stuck where they're at. Other people who live 99 years and get better and grow and prosper as they do it. And at the end of 99 years, they can look back and go, you know, it was a good run.
Yes.
Had a good run.
Exactly.
Had a
Exactly.
good run.
Well,
And others look back and all they see is grief and pain
yeah.
and trouble because they've lived the same year 99 times. They never got out of that rut. They never stepped away from it. They didn't have the courage to make the change that was required. So that's why life coaches are here. To help you
Absolutely.
see the vision, to help you be accountable to the vision, to help you grow and prosper with that big old smile on your face. Because nobody looks good with a frown. Everybody looks good with a smile.
I agree on that one. I agree on that one very much. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ray, for spending time with us today. I always enjoy talking with you. And my very last question is, if people would love to get in touch with you, where could they find you?
Well, they can find me on my website. My website is coaching.raydwillis.org. That's coaching.raydwillis.org. Be happy to see you there.
Wonderful. And I'll make sure to put that link in our description of this episode so you can easily access it. Thanks again, Ray. And thank you, everybody, for listening, tuning in. And as always, make sure you take care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit. Breathe, smile, and do something to soothe yourself today.